Hey everybody, my name is Rydo, and today we're starting a series on LA Noire. But before you can even really launch the game in PC, you have to go through its initial launcher, which allows you to change the video settings and oddly change a setting that's not actually in the game as far as whether you want it to run on DirectX 11 or DirectX 9. I would prefer DirectX 11 for any modern PC. And then no less than 6 different versions of applications are going to try to connect to the internet. I know this because I have a firewall that asks me before any program tries to access the internet, and it popped up no less than 6 times. However, if you happen to disconnect yourself and or block it by firewall, you can make an offline profile for this social club, which I have no idea what it does, and it pops up every time you launch, and it looks annoying. So, all it seems to do is show you Rockstar's Twitter feed and give you some updated statistics on community stats. And then when you click over here in stats, it seems like no players' stats already according to that for me. And then there's accomplishments / achievements. If the Rockstar Social Club means anything to anybody, I wouldn't know. And there's no way, as far as I can tell, to adjust this display to be larger for higher resolution screens, so this is pretty tiny. And it doesn't have controller support, so you have to hit escape. That certainly is a lot of nonsense to have to deal with before you can even start the game. So, we've covered BioShock Remastered, BioShock 2 Remastered, and BioShock Infinite that didn't really need a remaster. Oh no, my controller has decided to stop responding, which usually can be fixed with unplugging it and plugging it back in. There we go. And I don't know why it does that, but it does that in a lot of games, so it's probably more an issue with my controller or anything. So, after seeing Columbia, after seeing Rapture, I wanted to play this game to give a noirish, neo-noirish crime drama from the 1940s and 50s style story. So we're going to get a kind of more realistic representation of something closer to the time frames that Rapture and Columbia would have been in, although in a lot of ways Rapture felt very much more like it was in the 60s than the 40s or 50s, and Columbia felt more like it was in the 20s, and both Rapture and Columbia had ridiculous amounts of magical technology. Let's look at the settings and immediately turn off the music, which is weird, particularly when you come over to the sound effects and as you adjust things, it's not playing anything. I've noticed even before starting the game, it seems like the creators of this game, Rockstar, technically Team Bondi, it's really hard to figure out who's in charge of what. Team Bondi definitely made this game, but they were a subsidiary of Rockstar, which is a subsidiary of Take-Two, which used to be known as 2K, and Take-Two has published a bunch of games, and Rockstar has published a handful of very popular games. It's all kind of very difficult to figure out. So inside the game, you can get most of the settings, and everything in 2017 for my rig can be set at quality until I see some issues with it. Oddly, no NVIDIA Experience support here, and I thought this would have been one game that had. We could turn black and white on or off, and oddly that turns the brightness way up too. Way higher than even if I turn the brightness all the way to the maximum. That seems really ridiculous. That seems very, very strange. So we will be in color after we get out of this menu. Interface size can be small, normal, or large. That's an appreciated setting, but I don't know if it's really going to be that helpful since we're going to spend most of the game, if not almost all of the game, out of this menu. Controllers, we don't really need to change anything, and it seems like you can't really change too much anyways as far as button layout. When you go into the credits, the game actually becomes transparent for a second, which just points, that's nothing I've ever seen in playing over probably 100 games on PC recently. Like, I have never seen them go into a transparency mode. And I wouldn't have even noticed it if it weren't for the fact that my recording software then put my my own logo, which plays behind all video in case the game crashes. It allowed that logo to be seen. Also, the mouse does not disappear. So I can put it in the corner. I can't even get it off the screen. And then push a control on the controller. And usually the mouse would disappear, but it's not doing that. So just some basic things for PC you would expect. There is... it's pretty standard when you click on downloadable content, which I wouldn't blame you if you're having trouble seeing what you're highlighting, because it makes new cases, options, and extras darker. But if you hit the right, a social club gets lighter and downloadable content gets larger. When I click on that, it doesn't do anything, so it probably just would launch a Steam interface. Now I can't see what I'm clicking on because there's a character on top of it. And when we go to extras, the only thing that's here is the credits and the vehicle showroom, which tells you kind of right off the bat that there will be 25 vehicles you'll want to unlock and throughout the game. Well, maybe more than 25 vehicles. I know there's an achievement for getting every vehicle in the game, which is mostly just kind of like Grand Theft Auto. I keep mispronouncing that. In the sense that you just get in the car and I think you have to maybe drive it to the police station. This is... LA Noire, in a weird way, is somewhat the opposite of Grand Theft Auto, because you're playing as a police officer who's pretty straight-laced. He's not a corrupt police officer like we often would see in more modern tales or modern games. You're really going to try to solve cases. You're really going to try to stop crimes. And I think that's enough setup, because anything else would be a real spoiler. I would mention that you have to press back and right bump to bring up the social club, and then you can control that with a controller, but I don't think I would ever do that in the game. So, also, notice that when I brought up the social club, it moved the mouse right back in the way. Hopefully when we hit new game, though, that's all gone. The mouse will disappear. We really don't need that much setup.
A city on the verge of greatness. A new type of city, based not on the man, but on the automobile. The car. The symbol of freedom and vitality.
So you could have this whole game play in black and white. I don't know why you would want to do that.
And have room to breathe and not be overlooked by his neighbors.
Sounds like a nice dream in today's economy.
A man's home is his castle. A quarter acre of the dream made possible by victory. A city of opportunists. A city of dreams, where Hollywood will shape the thoughts and desires of the entire planet. A city of pioneers.
It's called Hollywood Land. That's what the sign used to say, but they took off the land part. It used to be a suburb.
A city of dreamers.
Now notice the faces of all the characters when you can look at them. They're gonna look pretty different.
Where not everything is as it seems. A 20th century city that will become a model for the world. A city that has no boundaries. That will stretch as far as the eye can see. In the Marine Corps, you deal with the chain of command. Mistakes get made, but you deal with them. You know what you're fighting for, that you're on the same team. But dealing with corruption is like chasing shadows. You never know whether the guy you're talking to is on the pad, or whether it's your partner, or maybe even the watch commander. So who do you trust, Cole? I made up my mind a long time ago.
KGBL calling caller 14 Adam. 14 Adam, come in.
So it's like different episodes of a TV show.
Shooting at 6th and Industrial Street. Unit 16 William requests uniform assistance for an evidence search. 14 Adam, code 2.
Roger, 14 Adam en route.
So, first of all, we gotta be able to drive. Hold right trigger to accelerate, and
here we go again. They don't
we need to not run lights.
Unless there's some kind of catch. Ever the optimist. From the beam of sunshine himself.
Or run over curves. This game actually wants you to drive the appropriate way. How one would turn on their flickers, I don't know. Now, in an odd turn, you actually don't have to do any of the driving in this game. You can just ask your partner to drive if you want.
Floyd Rose, homicide. You might back up?
Yes, sir. Phelps and Dunn, Wilshire Division.
We had a shooting took place down this alleyway. We have the Vic, Scooter Payton, a Negro male bagged up and on his way to Central Morgue. Witness says a tall white guy, our shooter, put 2 in the Vic's head and then threw his piece. I need you guys to try and recover the gat.
You want us to look anywhere in particular?
Give it your best shot, guys. The dead guy's a lowlife. I'm not expecting any miracles here.
And if we recover the weapon?
Bag it and return it to technical services.
You hurried up, Floyd. We
I'm
got
outta
places
here.
to be.
Happy hunting.
So the 2 detectives that aren't in uniforms.
This is a fist hump. Just going through the motions.
You're probably right. Let's just get it over and done.
All right, have it your way. We'll search right up to the back wall. If you still don't come up with anything, come find me and we'll talk it out. 2 heads are always better than 1.
Press right stick to look behind me. So, this game took 7 years to develop, mostly because of
Look at this junk.
facial scanning animations that they made and a new technology they developed, which makes the faces and the tiny movements.
It's not my job to pick through other people's trash.
So, control vibration or chime when a magnifying glass indicates an object can be examined. Well, then what do I press to pick it up?
What have you
A.
got, Phelps? Anything?
So we can pick up a couple of different items and we can manipulate it in our hand. And then I can press B to put it down. These are probably really cool technologies, but it's not like this engine got sold or used ever again. And it has kind of the exact opposite effect of what Mass Effect Andromeda has a problem with, in that the facial animations in that game are kind of just drawn instead of scanned, and because they're drawn instead of scanned, then a animator has to animate every single smirk, every single twitch of an eye, every anything and everything that a human being might do. They didn't have to do any of that in this game. Instead, they just scanned it and had actors act out all of those actions, which probably then means you're paying an actor in billable hours way more than you would pay a facial animator. Let's face it. And at the end of the day, when you look at something like Mass Effect Andromeda, or just modern video games in general, they usually tend to be slightly more cartoony and slightly smoother in their lack of details, and that's what people have come to expect. So while this does something great, it's just something that's unexpected too, and we've never seen it attempted to be duplicated. The best I think you could say is that maybe in something like Witcher 3 they animated the faces to be more realistic, but still it's animation, it's not scanning. In a lot of ways, just scanning someone's face comes from an idea of laziness. Even if you put a lot of polish over the concept, which they did in this game. At the end of the day, this is from the original concept of we'll have less work to do, or at least from the thought that maybe they'll have less work to do. And how this game, this is only one element. There's several elements in this game. Press A to inspect an object. I see an object. Prompt. Probably wants me to press A to inspect this. New clue, bloodstain.
Put him up against the wall and blew his brains out.
Hell of a way to go.
And then there's no
Doesn't really matter how
hole in
you
the
go
door.
once you're gone.
Don't get all deep on me, Phelps.
And there's no zooming in or looking for actual things here. So you're gonna walk around and find clues. And then we will have people, clues, and locations that we will run into. So if we need to find more information about things, we would refer back to our notebook, which this is a nicely animated notebook. And we have the bloodstain. And what does it tell? Bloodstain splatters in the recessed doorway on the alleyway floor. Crime scene. And as the assignments get bigger, we will have many different locations. And it tells us the exact address if we need help. And then we can set it as the destination. So the second part of this game is the part where we're going to interview. So we've seen the gun is
Ralph,
up there.
There's something on the rooftop.
How the hell did you see that?
Well,
Reflection in the window. Looks like it might be our weapon. I'm gonna see if I can find a way up there.
All right, don't hurt yourself.
So I've accidentally walked in this, and look, I can accidentally walk on the blood and contaminate the crime scene. There will be times when we get pieces of evidence that...
on the roof, right? Do we need to find a way up?
And see, I've left the investigation area totally once crossing that police barrier. So that even though this is an open world, which oddly, I guess, you don't get to the map that way, you get to the map this way. Let's just take a moment. This is almost a one-to-one description of LA. There's definitely some regions that aren't done, and a few of the streets are merged, but they did a considerable amount of work, which surely impressed the video game reviewers and critics that live in LA and had really no impact on anybody who has no relation to LA, like me, for example. LA is not like New York in the sense that it's full of tall and interesting buildings.
Building looks vacant. I don't want to wait around all night for the super to let us in. Is there a way up from the outside?
There's bloodstain over here. If I can hit A to see it. No, it wasn't a bloodstain on the wall. It was just another bottle.
Doesn't appear to be connected.
Notice that by modern standards, it would be unacceptable to start a game and pick up 3 different bottles and move toward the drain pipe in order to climb it. So we just had to get close enough to get that prompt. It's nice that we're knocking things around. I've seen in a lot of games where there's items like this that are just solidly placed to stop glitching from happening, and glitches from happening, not glitching. Now I might argue that even being a skinny young man, he climbing up that drain pipe probably would have caused it to fall.
How you doing, Cole? Found it yet?
The detail now, considering this is a 2011 game, 6-year-old game, isn't as high as it used to be. In all honesty, the game doesn't just scream and shout out as if it is photorealistic. This very well might be a good example of how standards will keep climbing and climbing, and we may find a game like The Witcher 3, which is only about a year old, in 11 years, feeling quaint and kind of low polygon. I've seen a lot worse games, certainly, and a lot worse animation.
Smith & Wesson, serial S71893.
But proceed to further investigate.
2 rounds
shots
fired. Instead of dropping it down a drain, our shooter hoists it up here. Interesting guy.
There are certainly some scenes here that feel like they should have specifically focused on my character talking, so I could just look at him.
Before the perp tries to leave town.
And see our character himself is telling us what to do.
The gun, Cole. Let's take it back to Central. We could get a commendation.
We could show some initiative, Ralph, and see if we can come up with an owner.
That's a long shot, Cole.
It's a pretty fancy gun. You know a local gun store?
Sure. There's a place a couple of blocks from here.
So, because this is 40s and 50s time, unlike modern time where you just call it in on the radio, even in the 40s and 50s, you might very well have just called it on the radio.
It's not really our gig.
No harm in doing some digging. The suits didn't seem to give much of a damn.
Such a little Boy Scout, Cole. You can't wait to get out of that uniform, can you?
You'd rather round up drunks than help old ladies across the road?
I'd rather get through the day without the captain's foot up my ass.
It'll be fine, Ralph. You worry too much.
Nice dynamic lighting. So we can set the destination, and then we can take a different gun, a different car, if we want. And I can either drive it myself, or I can have my partner drive it, like I said, and that all just depends on who gets in the car. And it has this weird scooting over mechanic. And so it's this kind of quaintness. I'm gonna press control buttons to see if I can get a blinker to use to work. No blinkers. Now I'm seriously not going to speed here because that would be very poor. Oops. And there are like achievements and real reactions to you driving badly. Oops. And running red lights and not following the traffic laws. It kind of in the exact opposite mentality. Most of these intersections are unregulated four-way stops, which means the game is actually going to want you to decide who got there first and actually drive. Also, you'll find yourself often having trouble. We could turn on the siren and try to get them moving, but cars themselves, the driving mechanics, not so great. And frankly, you're just gonna fiddle a lot with this. There are some collectibles around here. And stop at the red light. Or turn on the sirens. But notice that car just turned right on the red light without stopping, so if it is the case that that's how you were supposed to drive, certainly isn't it now. Frankly, not worth driving around, but if you don't drive around, you're also not going to hear some of the triggers for the side missions in this game, which is probably fine. You're probably better off sticking to the main story instead of starting a side mission and finding it. Here's some rail cars, street cars that have been dismantled a long time ago in LA. The whole system of driving here feels a little rougher considering there's a lot of unregulated intersections. And this is just an incredibly slow mechanic. Let's see, apparently I can just do this and just not run into people. So is it really worth your time to do that? Probably not. But I think I'll probably let most of my partner drive most of the other time. And potentially miss out on a few of the side missions that aren't that good anyways. They're often chase sequences and quick time events, very different from what you normally do, or you'll have a chase sequence in a game.
Officers Phelps and Dunn. Can you tell us anything about this gun?
Story.
Smith & Wesson, Model 27, registered Magnum. Chambered for .357, nickel-plated with pearl grips. Same gun used by General Patton.
You're not suggesting he's the owner?
No, I'm not.
You seem to know a lot about the weapon.
I ought to. I sold it. You know, this piece will stop a rhino.
You just let him
These
touch it
babies
without
are only
fingerprints.
available
They
specially.
don't even think
Here's my
about that.
Smith & Wesson order book.
You mind if I take a look?
Be my guest. This is about something bad, right?
So now we can hit A to open the ledger.
Model 27 with pearl grips, Cole. You see it on there?
Alright, so 27 nickel checkered walnut grip, 27 polished nickel pearl grip.
We're in luck. Errol Schroeder, 203 South Glass Street. Ordered the gun in February 46. Thanks, you've been a big help.
Anytime. Always happy to help out the LAPD.
And we pick up the gun, of course. And see, I could look at this and we get the little ding. We could walk down to the rifle range and see. I don't know if he can actually do something down here, actually. There's really no reason to be here. But it might make some sense to be observant. You may notice there's a real small town mentality going on in this setup. Like, we found one gun store in LA, which was a pretty large place to begin with. Let's see.
Don't think this is any use to us.
But they went to the one gun store that sold it, even in LA. That seems unrealistic.
I don't think so.
You wait. 5 years from now, all our jobs will be done by robots.
Not much help.
The main reason Santa's so jolly is because he knows where all the bad girls live.
Odd side conversation happening here.
Do we call it in?
Let's see if he's at home. Owning the gun doesn't prove he pulled the trigger.
Okay. In for a penny, in for a pound. Lead the way, Gunga Din.
In a lot of cases, this is exactly what you should have done as police research, is try to not let the case go cold. And
See that every day.
press Y to enter the vehicle, and if I enter on this side, I should bump him.
You gotta be kidding. I could save all year and never.
Well, actually, I think we're probably going to end up doing a police chase because it wouldn't let me ask him to drive. And there's really no good driving experience in this game. Not that I recall. I found it incredibly annoying when I first played this game. I think most people will find it incredibly annoying. May also notice that LA isn't particularly laid out in the best of grids. I've also found that you kind of have to inch up on people sometimes to get them to move, but we're also at a stoplight, and if we turned on the siren, that doesn't change the stoplight. I think most of the roads are two-way, so you won't just pull
Now, that
into...
wasn't so hard, was it? Just because we're in uniform doesn't mean we can't use our initiative.
I guess so. Seems a little too good to be true. One-of-a-kind murder weapon bought locally using a real name. If Schroeder's our shooter, he's no criminal mastermind.
Most of them aren't. That's why they get caught. 2 out of every 3 crimes are done on impulse.
Another fact from the Phelps Encyclopedia of Thin Air. We really are full of them.
And as we're having this conversation, I'd much rather hear the conversation alone instead of deal with that. Notice there's some fake advertisements. And see, this car just doesn't want to move. And it's the presence of you or something else. That one was turning left with no indicators. The one thing you could do... Yeah, let's look at the map. See how far away we are. We are here. The gun store is here. Schrodinger's apartment is here. And I am curving around on the street. I'm probably going to miss it. And there's no jumping off the edge of a big bridge like this. This is rather dull. And I don't recall this being the actual beginning of the game. So either I'm doing a DLC... No, this is the beginning of the game, but there was some opportunities I probably should have taken to skip driving, because it's adding a lot of time of driving around LA, and nobody likes to drive around LA. So ideally, if you were trying to get every single car, you would walk out of every location and get in a different car. But I still feel like you would probably have to do some extra work to get everything, because I bet there's a few secret ones that are just hidden in either parking lots or somewhere else. And frankly, this game is best if you just focus on the story. The GTA aspects are here because this is made by Rockstar, and frankly, it shouldn't be here. We just need to follow the story, and that's it. And so we should be able to walk up here, and let's see. We're gonna find out it's a liquor store or something. So we just crossed the street, and we're not really in investigation mode, so I don't think we need to. Gold handled doors allow you to enter, other handled doors don't. See, it might be helpful to take down a license plate or something, you would think, calling the scene. That's the thing that criminals don't realize in modern day, is by the time you see the sirens and get pulled over, the police have probably already called in your license plate, at the very least, made note of it. So even if you did go into a large chase and escape from them, like you can in GTA, they would probably still catch you. So we can look here and see which floor.
Schroeder, apartment 2.
Which apartment. Interesting, just Schroeder. No first initial. Now, this is an incredibly dangerous situation to walk into. And it's kind of nice to see just old school police not running in guns blazing. They're not hyper, like, what, pumped for a conflict. Is this a special door, or is this some kind of boiler or electrical grid? Here's 2. Just knock on the door.
What do you guys want?
I'm Officer Cole Phelps. This is Officer Dunn, Wilshire Division. You're the owner of a Smith & Wesson Model 27, nickel-plated with pearl grips?
I might be. What of it?
Then you'll be surprised to know that Scooter Payton was murdered tonight with your gun.
You're out of your mind. Scooter? He works for me. I have that gun here in my drawer. What What the fuck is going on here?
You're under arrest, Schroeder. Cuff him, Ralph.
No way.
Wait a
You're
minute.
not taking me down for this.
And left trigger to brawl. And A to punch. And I believe there was an achievement for not getting your hat knocked off there. But they certainly threw us into this new mechanic really quick. Headbutt, grapple attack. And apparently I need to do some more damage.
Ralph, you all right?
I'm fine. I hardly felt it. He's lucky he caught me off guard.
Keep an eye on him, Ralph. I'm gonna take a look around.
So it's, I mean, really nice to see a situation where they didn't just immediately pull a gun on him and shoot him, which would be more of the modern time. So we're seeing he's a bookie. He's got dates and numbers of how much has been betted.
List of names and a series of numbers. Floyd Rose's name is in this book.
Phelps, we can come out of this all bright and shiny with a commendation. Or stick our schlongs in a hornet's nest. Call it in, partner. And leave the book where you found it.
Officer Phelps.
And see, that just ends it. So I can't do anything more, which kind of sucks, because you'd want to do more. And now we're getting a cutscene. Bunch of guys getting off a train, so this is either when they just got out of the military or got in the military. I think a little bit of both. I think some are getting out and some are getting in.
You dumb fucking sons of bitches, get in this line now before I lose my temper.
Excuse me, Sergeant, but...
Excuse me? Fuck you. You say another word and I'll break your fucking head and have you in the brig.
Some of us are here for...
I know why you're here, asswipe. I'm having a bad day, Private. Some people don't seem to want to get on this bus.
Didn't ask for your help.
He didn't ask for your help. Can you believe this guy? Who are you two? Abbott and Costello?
We're here for OCS, Sergeant.
So it's the three fucking stooges and you're here for OCS. God help this fucking country and the USMC. The Japanese will do the world a favor and kill you quickly. All three of you are on report. What are your fucking names?
Phelps.
Kelso.
Merrill.
Any other gentlemen for OCS? OCS is at Elliott. You take the Camp Elliott bus over there. This bus is for MCRD. This bus is for men who want to fight.
So, what is OCS and what is MCRD?
Right place, Cole.
They didn't tell us
A
that.
city that needed an honest cop like a thirsty man needed water. You'd heard the stories, but you weren't interested. You were here to fight the good fight, solve cases, right wrongs. The force is like politics. There's no sitting on the fence. You have to choose sides. A brown paper envelope or a Greyhound ticket to Palookaville. It could only ever end one way.
All units to 211 in progress and shots fired at Westlake Savings and Loan, 1415 West 3rd Street. Units
So,
identified.
throughout the game, in a weird way, the main story at least,
It's only a couple blocks from
you get these flashbacks to him in the World War II. So we get some backstory. And let's try not to do that, because it doesn't help you any, and it will probably damage your car and make driving even worse. So we've gone almost 45 minutes with very little action, and that's not unheard of in this game, or odd, honestly. But they want to throw a little bit of action in here. And the window took a bullet. Press A to open the trunk and retrieve a weapon. And let's see. We can shoot the wheels for whatever that would be worth. And see, we've got a cover-based shooting system, which I'm not sure this is how GTA works. Like, I don't know if there's really too much covering going on. And see, they're doing covering fire. Got a little blood on my sleeve. I've taken a hit. And by hitting the wheel,
it really hurts.
And see, I really can't work my way around here.
Try for the front door. Keep your goddamn head down. Use the cover, Phelps.
LAPD, put down your weapons. The bank is surrounded. I'm offering you a chance.
Papa.
So I can right trigger for blind fire.
We don't know how many are in there. Take it slow.
And
Backup will be here soon.
let's see. And see, I don't know if I'm really taking too much damage.
Kill a cop, and
honestly.
it's the electric chair.
It's kind of strange to go from boxing a guy who clearly could have had another gun on him to I don't even know where the guy with the gun is.
Find some cover.
Your move, mister. Come get me.
Like, the red dot says he's this way. There we go.
That's it? We got them all? I think we got them, Cole. Should be all clear.
And so they trying to
Lieutenant
cram
Hopkins
some.
says anytime you reach for the shotguns, you're either going to end up dead or wearing a citation. So I guess
It's okay, Ralph. You did well in there. Glad you had my back. Man couldn't ask for a better partner.
And so what's the whole point of all this facial animation to this for the first hour of gameplay? First 50 minutes of gameplay. There was no point. And we're back to flashbacks.
This kind of opportunity comes along once in a lifetime, Hank. I have to grasp it.
You have to survive at first, Cole. Here are the veterans. The Japs love to shoot officers.
If I can make a name for myself in this war, my future...
Thinking of taking on a company of the Emperor's finest single-handed? You don't seem the Sergeant York type to me.
When I need your opinion, Kelso, I'll ask for it.
They talk about officers like you in boot camp, Cole. They call it the Custer syndrome. Guys who go around dreaming of fame and glory and getting all of their men killed in the process.
Our duty is to lead, Kelso.
And their duty is to die for your wonderful future?
So he was an officer, which means
Cole Phelps
that
and Jack Kelso. With some people, it's as simple as chemistry. Two guys who should have been friends, but their personalities got in the way. Phelps, a good guy, wound way too tight. And Kelso, a quiet man who could never walk away from a fight.
And so we may have just played as
Well,
two
it's a
different
shame you don't like to
characters.
talk about it, Cole.
I'm not even
Ralph.
sure.
Friends who want to stay friends don't discuss religion or politics. In my case, you can add the war to that.
I know that bum. Wendell Bowers. I put him away before. He jumped parole. Get after him, Phelps. I'll head him off in the car. Wendell Bowers!
And we're going to stop right here. So, 50 minutes in the gameplay, and they certainly felt the need to throw some more actions into it. When we look here, story cases complete 2 of 21, street crimes completed, there's 0 of 40, landmarks discovered 0 of 30. So there's a lot to do. 50 film reels, vehicle types driven, 1 of 95. Wow, that's a lot. So I think we're probably going to have a very accelerated experience and just focus on the storyline. I know some of the cases later on will be longer. Much longer. In fact, we mostly spend a significant amount of time doing one very big case. Lots of numbers and statistics here, all built around the idea of a Grand Theft Auto style of gameplay, and the log here is what we've done. This is the line of dialogue that we just saw them talk about. So it's a log of everything that's been said in Warrants Outstanding, which doesn't really make any sense right now, but when we get to the point where we're actually interrogating people, going back and seeing what they said is going to prove itself to be very helpful. There is no fog of war here, at least not in a general sense, so Hollywood is being depicted here. I guess maybe this is just the Hollywood area more than all of LA. We could, I suppose, set a random destination and then try to cancel that if we wanted. I suppose if you wanted to get all the collectibles, you could have an interactive map and just click where you want to go, have your partner drive you there, and then move forward. Right bump and left bump is not helping us right now. So we've done the beginning, and we barely really even know what LA Noire is all about. It's been kind of random, but it'll eventually solidify itself into something more consistent. That's going to be it for this recording. I end all my recordings the same way. I ask you to like, share, subscribe. When you subscribe, click the notification bell next to the button to get notifications. Comment and watch every second of my videos, because all of that helps me out and tells YouTube that my videos are worth watching. If you want to friend and follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Google+, Steam, or Battle.net, all of those links are down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.